Hey everybody, Sean from Movie Assault here, and it's time for another video. This time is a tag response video. I'm responding to a tag from Kenny at Kenny's Movie Palace. Of course, my good friend from Talking Movies with Sean, Kenny, and Jim. He tagged me in his top 10 movies of the 1970s video that he did, and he had an excellent list of films. So, to be kind, I figured I would respond. Um, One of the things that I need to say, and I probably don't do a good enough job of this haven't done a good enough job of this in the past, is to say that these are my top 10 favorite films of the 1970s. These aren't the ones that I think are the best films ever. I did a top 25 of the 1970s maybe a year or two ago, and I think I didn't do a very good job of explaining that either. But those were more of like what I felt were the best movies of the 1970s. These are my top 10 favorites. So if that matters to you or not, it's all opinion anyway. Who cares? But I just wanted to set the record straight on that. Um, so we'll go with my number 10 from 1979. It's Don Coscarelli's Phantasm. If you ever wanted to know what it was like to film a nightmare, I think this is pretty much the best version of that. That's why I like this movie. And I believe it is the only true horror movie in my top 10. And I don't talk about it a lot. I talk about Halloween a lot, but Phantasm is one that really is just sort of unlike any other horror movie, either that's come before or since. And I really think this is well worth watching again and again. So, Phantasm, number 10. Number 9, I've mentioned this movie many times on the channel, but it's one of the movies that scared the living bejesus out of me when I was about, I was probably, how old would I have been when this came out? 5, 4? Um, I saw it at the drive-in, and it literally made me scared to look out the window at night. And to a degree, I still am hesitant to look out the window at night. It is The Legend of Boggy Creek from Charles B. Pierce. And this, of course, is a Bigfoot movie, but I don't think they ever call it Bigfoot in this. It's the Fouke monster, I believe. Um, but they may call it Bigfoot. I don't know. But whatever. It's still a really good slice of life of the South in the 70s, and this inspired tons of Bigfoot movies after it. This is still, for my opinion, the best one of the bunch. But it's dated, but it scared the living crap out of me when I was a kid. At number 8 from 1979, Over the Edge. This is a film with Matt Dillon, I believe, in his first role. This is a movie that was the first movie that showed me that you could be frustrated with your parents and sort of have a disconnect with them, and it was real, and it was something that, being a kid wasn't as easy as being a kid was when my parents were kids. At least that's how it felt when I watched this. And I really identified with the kids in this. um, I don't know if it would stand up today's kids watching this, because it's probably pretty dated, but for me, nostalgia takes over. um, and so I see it through my eyes as a kid back in the late 70s, early 80s. But this is well worth your time if you're from that era. At number 7, my most recent entry into this list, in terms of me watching it, I've only watched it once, but Jim said in his video that I became kind of obsessed with it, and I did. I even went out and bought the 4K of it. It is Sorcerer. I do have the Blu-ray of this as well. But the Criterion Collection edition came out, and I wanted to grab this because of the special features on it. I spent most of the next 2 days after I watched this movie watching stuff on YouTube about it. This is an incredibly gritty, grimy, sweaty movie. Um, Much maligned by critics when it came out. I don't think it was fully understood, but if you don't have to carry all the baggage of that around and know that it was a failure at the box office and all that crap, watch it now. It's just an incredibly gripping suspense crime thriller. Um, Great movie, Sorcerer from 1977. At number 6, Close Encounters of the Third Kind from Steven Spielberg, of course. This is from 1977. Um, this is a 4K steelbook of it. I've seen this many times. There are a bunch of different versions of this, and I don't even remember which one is my favorite. There's the director's cut and the original theatrical cut, and I don't know. I used to have a Blu-ray that had like a timeline on it of all the different cuts on it. But just overall, this is a great movie. When I was a kid, it was the special effects that grabbed me. But as an adult, it's more of the story and the drive and the quest to know more and what's really going on. I highly recommend this film. And it's creepy as shit, too, in parts. From 1976, coming in at number 5 is King Kong, the 1976 one that was directed by John Guillermin and stars Jeff Bridges, Jessica Lange, Charles Grodin. This is the 4K steelbook that Paramount put out. This is my King Kong. This is the one that I went to the theater to see over and over and over again. This was, of course, before home video, before Star Wars. This was my favorite film of all time when I was a kid. And I realize it's inferior as a movie to the 1933 version. It's got its problems, and it's got some goofy special effects in parts, but this gripped me as a kid, and it still has a hold on me. I still think about the soundtrack to this all the time. The final scenes with Kong climbing the World Trade Center. For some reason, that version of the ending gripped me and hit me more emotionally than the one in the 1933 one. I realize the 1933 one is a groundbreaking film and much better in terms of quality and overall just better made, but this is still an achievement and still one of my favorite films to watch. Love this movie. This is number 5. At number 4, 1978's Superman with Christopher Reeve. Superhero films have gotten a lot of crap as of late, but this was the first one that really made it big. Christopher Reeve plays Superman unlike anybody else had up to that point, and he is now the reference by which every new Superman is compared. I don't think he's been superseded yet. I don't know that he ever will be, but if anybody personified Superman, it was Christopher Reeve in this film and Superman 2. The other 2 sequels were kind of schlocky and not very good, but this one and the second one are great, but this one will be my favorite Superman movie probably forever. At number 3, probably the oddest entry in this list, is Being There from Hal Ashby, starring Peter Sellers, Shirley MacLaine. This is a movie that I explain to people why I like it, and I just see their eyes glaze over. This is not a movie that you would expect a 12-year-old kid to really enjoy. This is a movie that a 12-year-old kid not only enjoyed, but still enjoys watching today when he's 58. This is just an amazing film. And the performance by Peter Sellers is just totally worth watching. It's a very subtle film, very slow, very quiet, much unlike every other film on this list, but this is probably will remain one of my favorite films of all time forever. At number 2, I'm showing this version for a reason. This is the despecialized edition of the Star Wars trilogy, and it is because of this movie that I am showing this. It is my number 2 all-time favorite film of the 1970s, Star Wars. Not Star Wars A New Hope, like Kenny said. It's always just going to be Star Wars to me. This movie captured my imagination like no other film ever did, before or since. And for a long time, I would have said this would have been my number 1 film. My enthusiasm for Star Wars has kind of cooled lately. The series now doesn't even, it's not even recognizable to me in terms of what I got out of this original movie and the original trilogy. But I still like some of it, but I'm not a hardcore fanatic anymore. But I will always be a hardcore fanatic for the original trilogy and this despecialized version. And number 1, probably surprising no one, is 1975's Jaws. I've seen this movie hundreds of times at this point. I watch it 3-4 times a year. I don't watch any film that many times a year, and I always watch it with Lori now. She loves it too. This is the perfect combination of adventure, suspense, thriller, humor, a little bit of horror, a little bit of gore. But this is just a great adventure, suspense, thriller movie. Um, sure, it has its problems, but it's not perfect. Like, there aren't any continuity errors in it or anything. But it is a great, great movie and one of the most entertaining movies I've ever seen, not just from the 70s, but of all time. Jaws is my number one favorite movie from the 1970s. So there you go. That's my top 10 movies of the 1970s, or my top 10 favorite movies from the 1970s, I should say. As always, thanks for sticking around till the end of the video. I appreciate your attention span. If you like what you saw, consider subscribing if you haven't done so already, because this is the kind of stuff I do here. So thanks for watching. Take it easy.